today's inspiration is a pogo stick. We don't actually have to bounce, but look at you. But we are gonna work on the aspects of that coil and spring. So that is the feet, getting the feet nice and springy and bouncy and able to absorb that shock of bouncing up and down. So we'll try to do that in some kind of fun and playful ways and some similar ways. So really, support with the core, mobilizing the feet and the hips to get us this nice springy bounce in our feet. So we're gonna start on our backs and let's have one block nearby. The block will come under your left foot or your pillow, whatever you're using. So we'll set up for a nice asymmetrical bridge. The block is under the left foot. Now you can walk your foot as far away from you as you need to feel really comfortable in this left hip. So let's feel triple S here. Hands will come to the ribs and let's really push down into both feet. Feel the hips start to lift up without the ribs lifting. Stay low here, feel the glutes. Pelvic points draw in. Feel that left foot really push down into the block. So you might be feeling that left glute or left hip a little bit more than the right hip. And let's take that right hand up, stretch out your right wrist. Now you can stay absolutely where we are. You can start to lift and lower your right heel, pushing into that right big toe. So we're adding even more demand on that left hip and glute to really hold the pelvis steady, hold that left hip still. Good, hands back to the ribs. On an exhale, let's lower down until we get that sacrum down. And we'll switch sides, so let's just slide that block over underneath the right foot. Now, customize this as much as you need. Right foot slides away to make sure this feels good in the right knee. Triple S to start, hands to the ribs, push down into the feet to lift the hips. Low bridge, pelvic points draw in. Really feel that right ball of the foot and right big toe push down. Left palm up. Let's take the right fingers, pull back, wrist extension, stretch. Stay long through the low back. Maybe we add that lift and lower of the left heel. Keep pushing into that left big toe, right big toe. Starting to feel that bounciness in the left foot potentially. Hands to the ribs, one more breath in. On your exhale, let's lower down nice and slow, long through the spine. This time we take our block and we put it between the knees or the thighs for our core work. Hands will come behind the head, elbows in as tight as you can or as high up toward the ceiling as you can. Take a breath in. As you exhale, hug the block, lift off your shoulder blades, but your head's gonna come up last. So don't think about yanking the neck, think about just pulling those ribs in to lift off the shoulder blades, hugging the block. Let's inhale to lower down. Exhale, hug the block. Feel the front ribs pull down to lift off the shoulder blades. Head stays heavy in the hands. Let's stay here. Push down into the balls of the feet and the big toes. Lift both heels any amount. Lower the heels. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up. Chin is slightly toward the throat, back of the neck is long. Keep that low back long. Let's push into the big toes, balls of the feet. Lift and lower the heels a couple times. Inhale to lower down. You can stick with just that. Exhale, lift up. Lift and lower the heels, or make it a little bit bouncier. Bop those heels up and down, challenging the stability of the core, the pelvis to hold steady. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up. Head comes up last. Stay with those heel lifts, or bop those heels up and down as you hug the block. Inhale and lower. Good, let's release the block. We're gonna make our way into quadruped. So to feel that springiness, that bounciness, we want to check in with that triple S. If the head's hanging way down, it's gonna hard to feel light here in our hands. So chin is slightly toward the throat, ears lift up in line with the shoulders, ribs lift in toward the body, belly's lifting up toward the sacrum. Toes are gonna tuck under, hovering here. Maybe we try to rock the hips back, rocking the heels back, like the heels are gonna touch the ground, and then shift it forward, knees tap down, quadruped. You can exhale as you hover. Feel that lightness by engaging the core, shift it back, and then bring it forward, any pace. So we wanna feel the core always holding us and supporting us as we shift forward and back, so we can really move in the hips, move in the ankles, helping to get this springiness in the feet, that movement, that stretch through the plantar fascia. One more. Good, let's untuck the toes. We'll lower onto our forearms for some forearm cat-cow. You can have the palms flat on the ground. You can interlace the hands here, whatever is gonna feel good for your shoulders today. Let's inhale and really push the ground away, like you're really trying to push the ground away and spread those shoulder blades apart. Let the back round, let the head hang heavy. Good. Big breath, just holding here, pressing the forearms into the ground. And then let's do the opposite. Let's extend the spine. Let the pelvis tip, so the tailbone's kind of lifting up, chest softens down. You can lift the chin to the amount that feels good for your neck. And again, let's spread the back apart, round the back. Arch the back a couple more times. Getting into some sticky spots, maybe around the mid back, the low back. Okay, we're heading into our down dog. Come back to that quadruped, and let's work on that feeling of lightness here. So we'll press the hands into the ground, tuck the toes, use the core to hover the knees from this hovered position. Hips continue to lift up, 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 up. Heels stay lifted. So we have that buoyancy already by not grounding the heels down. So knees are gonna stay soft. Let's try a little lift and lower of the heels here. Now, I want you to lift and lower the heels without changing what's happening at the shoulders. So I'm not rocking forward and back. My hands stay the same, my shoulders stay the same. My hip creases are gonna lift up a little bit as I lift and lower the heels, if anything, but the spine is staying long, the pelvis is staying still. Really getting into the ankles. Good, hands walk back into our happy squat. Good. Pressing down into the whole feet, big toe, pinky toe, and heel. Spine is long, belly's toward the thighs. Press the ground away. Super strong in the feet and the legs to get back up. And let's pause here at the back of the mat. Soften the knees. And let's do a little tiptoe walk forward. So we're going to lift the heels any amount. Knees can stay soft so we don't lock them. And you're just going to try to walk on the toes, walking on the tiptoes forward. And back a couple times. We will, of course, revisit this in the stream with the option to make it a little bit more playful. You need to lower the heels anytime or keep the knees super bent. Do that. Okay, we'll come to the front of the mat and we'll pause here and we'll continue the reset with that sun salutation. 1, knees nice and soft. Bend the knees. That always gives us that more buoyant feeling in the legs. Arms reach forward and up. Get the rib cage to lift up like you're lifting everything up. Hinging at the hips, press down into the whole feet. Right foot steps back, we lower the knee at the top of the foot. Let's lift up for a 90-90. Feel this right thigh bone try to lift up into that right hip. Nice and active here as we roll the shoulders. Almost like we're uncorking here. So before we do that coil and spring, let's release a little bit of that tightness around the upper back, around the shoulders. Good, hands come down, quadruped, tuck the toes. Let's work on that hover here, that bounce, that lift up of the knees without rounding the shoulder blades. We're just hovering and then tapping the knees down. One more time, hover. Lift all the way up into down dog. Let's take a breath here. Big breath in. Feel the rib cage expand as you press into the fingers. On an exhale, lower back to quadruped. Think about landing lightly, buoyant in the knees. Right foot steps forward. We untuck those left toes. We're in our 90-90 on the other leg. Ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Give that left glute a little squeeze. Let's free up some of that tension or tightness here along the upper back and shoulders by rolling one shoulder back at a time. Feel that lightness in your left knee. Imagine your left thigh bone lifting up into the left side of the hip. Hands will come forward or to blocks if that's helpful to keep the spine long. Left foot steps forward to meet the right, bent knee forward fold. Let's press the ground away, strong in the legs. Shoulder blades lift. Knees stay soft as we hinge. Left foot steps back. We lower the knee, not the toes. Lifting up into that toe tucked, 90-90. Ribs right over the pelvis. Let's bring fists together. Take a breath in, feel that expansion around the rib cage. Exhale, engage the core. Turn the ribs to the right toward that front leg. Low back doesn't turn. Inhale back to center, coil and spring. Exhale, use the core to coil you so that we can spring back to center. Exhale, use the core. Bring it back, hands come forward, quadruped. We'll tuck the toes under, knees in nice and tight toward the hands, long through the spine. Toes tucked, lighten the knees as we hover. Feel the front body lift up, lower the knees down, inhale. Exhale, ribs lift up, belly lifts up. We continue to hover and lift all the way to down dog, keeping the ribs lifting up. Big inhale here, getting wider through the torso. Exhale, quietly lower the knees, quadruped. Left foot steps forward. We keep the right toes tucked. Lift up, 90-90. Picture that broom behind you. Right glute's got a little squeeze to it. Knuckles together. Let's think about that coil and spring. Inhale. Exhale, use the core. Rotate left. Nothing else changes. Inhale it back. Exhale, turn the ribs. Bring it back a couple more times. Keep those two pelvic points drawing in, especially as we rotate, and you'll get more of that stretch at the front of the right hip. Hands come forward or to blocks. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Bent knee forward fold. Push down into the feet. Rise up. Good, let's lower the hands for a moment. Our first sequence, we're going to start here at the top of the mat. Knees stay as soft as you need. Let's check the pelvis. We don't want to be tipping forward. Think about just a light bounce here. We might just be bending the knees. Little bounce here. So I'm not doing these forward. I'm just doing a little bounce. If you want to try lifting the heels, you can. You don't have to catch any air, but we're just getting that kind of pogo stick effect. Bouncing straight up and down. Using the core to support so we're not feeling the knees drive down. We're holding that upright pelvis. Good, now stay here. Soften the knees. Fists come together like we just did in low lunge. Right foot taps out to the right, hip abduction. We step it back in. We turn just the ribs to the left like that coil and spring. Back to center. Right foot taps out to the right. Step it back in. We turn just the ribs. Coil and spring with the core. Bring it back. Right foot taps right. Bring it back. Turn through the ribs. Bring it back to center. Tap it out to the right. Bring it back in. Now flex the left hip. Shift your weight into that right foot. Any amount, we pick that left foot up. Feel that right thigh bone lift up. Left foot will step back to tilted crescent. Left hand to that right thigh. feel that front body lift up. So we're not sinking down into that right knee. We're feeling the pelvis lift up, really light here. Push into that left big toe. Feel that left glute really kick on. You can stay here, or you can swing one arm forward, one arm back, and see if we can feel really stable in the base. So legs and pelvis and glutes, really strong, really stable. Can we get this little swing of the arms? Good, hands come down, quadruped. Align that triple lash, shoulders over your wrist, knees planted nice and tight, chin slightly toward the throat. We tuck the toes and hover. Maybe we add that rock back as we hover. And then forward, tap the knees quietly. Exhale, hover using the core. Maybe we shift back. So you're just gonna go forward and back a couple times. And when I say land quietly, I mean, think about landing softly with those knees. Part of plyo is that coming down, that shock absorption phase of after you hop up, you've gotta land gracefully. All right, down dog. Lift and hover, lifting those hip creases up, lifting the ribs up. You can pedal the feet out here if that feels good for the bottoms of the feet, for the ankles. Let's walk the hands back toward the feet for our happy squat. Big bend in your knees so spine stays long. Press the ground away. Let's rise up. Hands are going to come to the pelvis. So you can do sides of the pelvis, cupping side to side, or forward and back. Knees stay soft. Shift your weight into that left foot. We don't even have to pick up the right foot if we don't want. Let's see if we can lift the left heel, any amount, and then lower. Right foot steps forward. We shift our weight to the right foot. Pick up the left foot, any amount. Lift the right heel and lower. So everybody's gonna look different. Walking your way forward and work on that lower with control as well. So it can be a teeny tiny little bop up and down. Doesn't have to be a big heel lift. And when you get to the front, we'll do that on the second side. So knees stay soft, fists come together. This time we tap left toes out to the left. Feet come together, we turn just the ribs like we did in low lunge, not turning the low back or the pelvis. Left toes tap left, we step together, turn just the ribs. So you can do this any pace. The goal is to stay really stable through this right hip, our supporting hip. Pelvis staying neutral as we turn the ribs. Let's do one more. Now we switch, load that left foot, pick up the right foot, flex the right hip. Balancing here. Let's shift that right foot back into our tilted crescent, right hand to the left thigh. Continue to push into the ball and that right big toe. So we're really active in this right leg. We're not sinking down to the ground. Lifting the ribs, feeling that triple S. Stay here or add that alternate arm swing. One arm forward, one arm back. Now keep feeling as the feet press down, the legs lifting up. So we're super active here. Hands come down, quadruped. Let's do those rock backs. You could do your hovers without rocking back, just straight up and down. You can hover and then rock back. We're almost like a crouch, springing forward. Can you spring forward with that alignment, with that strength and support of the core? Landing quietly as you tap the knees. Good, neat and down dog. Lift the ribs up, so not sinking into the shoulders. Load the feet by walking the hands back, bending the knees. Long through the spine, press the ground away. Hands come to the pelvis, hold it still. Let's shift weight into the right foot. You can even keep left toes on the ground, and we'll work on lifting and lowering. The right heel, step it forward. So you could keep the other toe grounded, kind of like a kickstand. Knees stay as soft as you need to hold the pelvis still and not lock out the knees. Okay, let's come to the front of the mat. And we'll soften the knees, do one round of sun salutation. Let's make it a little bit more bouncy. So let's add just that little bounce. You don't even have to lift off the ground, but let's work on that, landing softly without driving those knees down. And then pause with the knees soft, arms up, lift those shoulder blades up, hinge, step it back, plank pose. Find triple S. Can you feel that buoyancy in the neck? Lower the knees, re-lift the throat, lower down, feel the pelvis touch down, drag the hands back, low cobra. Glutes are firm. Can we keep that buoyancy here in the low belly? Tuck the toes, down dog, feet walk in to shorten the stance so you keep grounding down through the fingers. Now let's add a little bop here. You can work on lifting and lowering. You can do one heel at a time. You can do both heels. You could really bend the knees and work on more of a bounce here, like a pre-hop, shifting your weight into the hands and maybe adding just the tiniest little hop. Good, let's step or even try hopping it forward toward the front of the mat. Big bend in your knees, arms reach forward and up. Good, hands come down. We're gonna step our right foot back, high lunge, soften that right knee. So here's a great example of wanting to feel buoyant and not sinky in a lunge. So pressing down into the feet, feeling the pelvis and the thighs lift up into the hips. You can even add the tiniest little bounce here. Pushing into that right big toe. Feel that right glute work. Let's turn to the right. Hands anywhere on the body or not. Let's side lunge. And as we sit back into the hips, weighting down through the full feet, not just the heels, we still want to feel this sense of buoyancy here. We're shifting side to side with this feeling of lightness because we're using the strength of the hips, the support of the core with that neutral spine. Good, turn to the back of the mat, right tilted crescent. We were just in one of these positions. Left hand to the right thigh. We're on the ball of that left toe. Lift up here. Really push into that right foot. You could try shifting a little bit more weight into that forward, a little weight forward into that right foot, shifting off the left toes. You could try a tiny little rock forward and back off the left toes. If you want to try a full push off, you could try that now. You could wait until the stream if you want. Pushing off, light on that left foot. We're all going to turn back around to the front of the mat for quadruped. Align that neutral. Left toes slide back, but we'll keep them on the ground. Feel this right thigh go lift up. So super active in our supporting hip and knee. All we're going to do is this feeling of lightness. Lift the front body up. Tap the left toes up and down. We're not going for height here. We're going for this buoyancy in the left toes via the left glute and hamstring. So a little hip extension here. It's going to be small. It should not feel like everything's moving. Spine's trying to stay still. So we really have to rely on those deep core stabilizers to hold us. Good, slide it in, quadruped. Let's cat-cow a little bit. Tuck the toes, down dog. See if you can get that buoyancy in the feet here, maybe lifting and lowering, maybe taking a moment to stretch into the calves by trying to press one heel toward the mat at a time without losing that neutral spine or that feeling of the ribs lifting up. We're going to walk it forward, bent knee forward folds, pushing down into the feet, rise up front of the mat. Good, hands come down, left foot steps back. We're in that high lunge. Feel that lightness here, that bounciness in the legs and in the knees. Hands can be wherever you want. You can stay and breathe. You can add a tiny little bounce here. Now, even as I bounce, I'm not thinking down, down, down. I'm thinking up, up, up. So the emphasis is on that bounce back up. Let's turn left, side of the mat, feet parallel. Side lunges, you can take any variation with your arms. Feel that buoyancy in the neck here, ears in line with the shoulders. It's hard to feel that sense of lightness when the head is dropping down. So what's gonna help? Those strong hips, strong core to really hold that spine neutral against gravity. Let's turn it back to the front, quadruped. Right toes slide back, toes tucked. Lift the front body up. So we're really gonna focus on this right glute as we just tap the right toes up and down very lightly. Can we work on not collapsing on the way back down, but holding that strength and that structure as we lift and lower the right hip. Notice if your left hip or left side of the pelvis is really wiggling around, and work on stabilizing through that bottom hip. Good, slide it in, quadruped, let's cat-cow. Tuck the toes, down dog, or shift it back for a child's pose. Whatever you want to do here for a couple breaths. If you're in down dog, press into the fingers. Feel that upward lift of the ribs and the armpits. Walking it forward to the front of the mat, bent knee, forward fold. We'll push the ground away and rise up. Good, hands come down. Let's stream it together. So we'll add on some little extra challenges, softening the knees. Hands come together. Let's combine some of those movements. We'll tap the right toes to the side. Bring it in, flex the left hip, and add that thoracic rotation. Unwind. Lower down, tap to the right. Step it in, pick up the left foot, turn the ribs. Any pace, you can go even slower, but can we work on this feeling of lightness as we shift from one foot to the other, using the core to give us that coil and spring, that turn through the ribs via the strength of the core. Pause with your left hip up, so left hip flexion. Step that left foot back, tilted crescent. Stay here or add that arm swing. You can add an arm swing and try to lift and lower off those left toes, adding that little bounce here. Okay, turning left to the side of the mat. We'll do 4 side lunges. Left, right, left, right. Now either you're gonna step together 4 times, or hop. Little side to side hop, and then 4 side lunges. Left, right, left, right. Maybe we're just step tapping side to side. Maybe we're catching a little air, landing softly, shock absorption. One more time, side lunge left, right, left, right, side to side movements, or hop it. Good, turn to the front of the mat, down dog. Lift the hips, press into the fingers, hands walk back, happy squat. Okay, here's our option. In our happy squat, we're gonna rise up. You can either hip hinge, really using the glutes, work on exploding on the way up, pressing the ground away, using the legs and the glutes to get back up with that feeling of a broom behind your back. You can add a heel lift, work on that slow lower, that shock absorption of the bounce on the way down. You can bounce it, you can hop it, little squat hop. Work on that controlled landing. Core is engaged. We're trying to keep spine and pelvis neutral. Okay, last little bit here. You can walk, lift to heel, forward and back. You can tiptoe walk, forward and back. You can skip, add an arm swing, forward and back. Whatever you want to do, your level of pogo stick. Coil and spring, plyo. Okay, front of the mat. Ooh, take a breath. Second side of the string. Knees stay soft. Fists together. Left toes tap left, hip abduction. Keep the knees soft. Pick up the right foot. Add that rotation. Good. Left toes tap left. Pick up the right foot, turn. But we're not turning the pelvis. We're not turning the low back. Take it as slow as you need. Whatever feels good today. The next time our right hip is up, we'll pause. Send that right foot back, tilted crescent. Front body lifts, lightness in the legs. Stay, maybe we add those arm swings. Maybe we add rocking toward a push off of that right foot in any way, shape, or form. Stay solid through that left hip. Good, turn to your right side of the mat, feet are parallel. Let's side lunge, right, left, right, left, and then we either step tap, hip abduction, pelvis stays nice and level, or we hop it, side lunge right. So any pace, 4 side lunges, or any amount, whatever feels good. And then we either step touch or hop. Same thing, pelvis stays steady. We try to land quietly, not feeling the knees drive down, but really working on that soft, quiet landing, using the glutes, using the hips, using the core. Let's turn it back to the front, down dog. Lift the ribs, feel the thigh bones lift up. Hands walk back, happy squat. Your choice, hop it or not. Let's work that hip hinge. Pressing the ground away. So even if you're not lifting at all, you can still work that pre-plyo by working that push of the ground away to get back up. That leads you to the ability to push off, get that explosive strength in the legs. Okay, your choice, forward and back, however you want to add a little playfulness. You can make it as big as you want. You can try to go forward and back. All right, let's make our way back to hands and knees. Quadruped. And we'll belly roll or cat-cow. Notice your breath. Let the exhale start to slow. Keep that expansive breath into the ribs as you inhale. Let's make our way onto our backs. Any way that feels good. Feet on the mat or knees bent. Eyes closed. Hands can rest wherever you'd like. Allow yourself a moment to just settle in. Enjoying this chance for stillness, even just for a moment. It's time to move your body, challenge your brain. And as you take a few more breaths here, send one grateful thought out into the universe.